Could Jose Mourinho really come back to Chelsea? Here is everything you need to know. Imagine waking up one morning and seeing the headline, Jose Mourinho is the new Chelsea manager. Again, for the third time. Some Chelsea fans would jump out of their seats with excitement. Others would shake their heads and say, no, not again. But right now, in May 2026, that idea is not as crazy as it sounds. And honestly, it is one of the most talked about stories in English football right now. So let us sit down, take a deep breath, and go through everything that is happening. Who is in the frame for the Chelsea job? Where is Mourinho right now? What does Joe Cole think? And most importantly, do you think it could actually happen? Let us get into it. How Chelsea got here. Before we talk about Mourinho coming back, we need to understand why Chelsea even needs a new manager in the first place. Chelsea sacked Rosenior after a poor run of results. If you are not familiar with Rosenior, he was seen as a fresh face, someone who could bring new ideas and energy to Stamford Bridge. But it did not work out. The results were not good enough, the performances were frustrating, and in the end, the Chelsea board decided it was time to move on. This is nothing new for Chelsea fans, of course. We have seen managers come and go so many times that it almost feels normal at this point. But here is the thing. Each time a new manager comes in, there is hope. There is a belief that this time it will be different. This time, things will click. So now Chelsea are back at square one, looking for their next head coach. And the names being linked with the job tell you everything about where the club is right now and what kind of direction they want to go in. Where is Jose Mourinho right now? Here is something that a lot of people do not know or have forgotten. Jose Mourinho is currently the head coach of Benfica in Portugal. Yes, Mourinho is back in Portugal, managing one of the biggest clubs in his home country. And he has actually done a decent job there. He took over Benfica mid-season, which is always hard for any manager. When he arrived, the team were not in great shape. But since then, Benfica have gone the whole league season without losing a single game. They have been unbeaten. Now, before you say that sounds amazing, there is a catch. Benfica have drawn too many games. Because of those draws, they have not been able to catch FC Porto at the top of the table. So while Mourinho kept the team unbeaten, they could not quite win the league. But think about that for a second. He walked into a club that had just sacked their manager in mid-September. He steadied the ship. He stopped the losses. He made Benfica hard to beat. That is not nothing. That is actually quite impressive. And here's the important question for Chelsea fans. If Mourinho can do that at Benfica, what could he do with a squad like Chelsea? Joe Cole says, give him the keys. Now let us talk about Joe Cole because his words have really added fuel to this fire. Joe Cole is a Chelsea legend. He played for the club, he loves the club, and people at Chelsea respect what he thinks. So when Joe Cole speaks about the manager search, people listen. And what did Cole say? He did not just say Mourinho would be a good option. He went all in. He basically said that bringing Mourinho back would be the single best move Chelsea could make right now. Cole said that Chelsea should go to Mourinho, tell him what they can offer, and then just step back and let him do his job. He wants the club to give Mourinho full control over the players, control over the transfers, control over the direction of the whole club. Cole said something that really stuck with me. He said the club should tell the fans and players clearly, Jose is in charge of bringing players in. Jose is in charge of everything, so everyone knows where they stand. He also said it would take time. He said give him a long contract and let the fans and players go through the transition. In 3 years, Cole believes Chelsea will be in a much better place than they are now. And perhaps the most important thing Cole said was this. Everyone thinks Mourinho is finished. But there is a reason Real Madrid are looking at him. That last line says a lot. Real Madrid do not look at finished managers. They look at winners. The Real Madrid problem. And here is where things get really interesting and honestly a bit complicated for Chelsea fans who are hoping Mourinho comes back. Because Mourinho is not just sitting around waiting for Chelsea to call. He is being chased by Real Madrid. According to reports, Mourinho has already had a 1-hour meeting with Real Madrid president Florentino Perez. A 1 hour meeting. That is not a quick chat over coffee. That is a serious conversation between two people who are really considering working together. Now, Mourinho has also been clear about what he wants from any new job. He wants full control. He wants authority over transfers. He does not want to come in and just coach the players. He wants to have a real say in who those players are and what the club looks like going forward. And you know what? That is exactly what Joe Cole is saying Chelsea should give him. So in theory, the demands match. But Real Madrid and Chelsea are two very different propositions. Real Madrid is the biggest club in the world. When they call, almost every manager in football picks up the phone immediately. The history, the stadium, the fan base, the Champions League, the Galacticos tradition, all of it. So what chance does Chelsea have? Well, more than you might think. And here is why. Why Chelsea could actually tempt Mourinho. Mourinho has a deep personal connection with Chelsea. He has made that very clear himself. He did not just manage Chelsea. Chelsea was the club that made him a global superstar manager. It was at Stamford Bridge where he called himself the special one. It was in London where he built his reputation. In September 2025, Mourinho visited Stamford Bridge. And when he spoke about Chelsea, he said the club is part of his history. Those were not just words. You could hear the emotion in his voice. Chelsea means something to him that most other clubs simply do not. Also, think about the history. Mourinho has already managed Chelsea twice. The first time, from 2004 to 2007, he delivered back-to-back Premier League titles, which had never been done before in the modern era at Chelsea. That first Chelsea team was brilliant. Hard to beat, full of character, and absolutely relentless. The second spell, from 2013 to 2015, brought another league title in 2015. But it ended badly, with a poor start to the 2015-16 season and a falling out with the squad. So there is history there, some of it beautiful, some of it painful, but you cannot pretend it does not exist. The question is, are both sides willing to put the past behind them and start fresh? What about the other candidates? Now, Mourinho is not the only name being considered. Chelsea are also looking at some other managers, and these names have actually been described as more likely choices than Mourinho at this stage. The three main names are Xabi Alonso, Andoni Iraola, and Xavi. Xabi Alonso is probably the most exciting name on that list for a lot of football fans. He managed Bayer Leverkusen brilliantly, winning the Bundesliga in Germany without losing a single match all season. That is an extraordinary achievement. He has shown he can build a team, get the best out of players, and play attractive football. He would be a very modern, very forward-thinking appointment. Andoni Iraola is another interesting one. He managed Bournemouth in the Premier League and got them playing really well. He is tactically very smart, and his teams are always well organised and competitive. He might not be the big name that gets fans excited on first hearing, but there is a real argument that he could do a solid job. Xavi is the Barcelona legend. He managed Barcelona for a couple of years with mixed results. He had some good moments, but also struggled with the squad he had. He is an icon of the game, but his management career is still a work in progress. So here is the honest picture right now. Chelsea are more likely, according to the people close to the club, to go with one of those three options than to go back to Mourinho. But football is unpredictable, and Mourinho is anything but ordinary. The big question, is Mourinho finished? Let us talk honestly about this because it matters. When Mourinho left Tottenham in 2021, a lot of people started writing his story as a manager. They said his time at the top was done. Then he went to Roma in Italy and actually won the Europa Conference League, a European trophy with a team that had no business winning a European competition. That was remarkable. Then he went to Fenerbahce in Turkey. He got them playing better football, but ultimately left the club without delivering the league title they were hoping for. And now he is at Benfica, unbeaten in the Portuguese league, but just missing out on the title. So has he lost it? The honest answer is no. He has not lost it, but he has also not been the dominant force he once was at Chelsea and Real Madrid and Inter Milan. The Mourinho of 2004 to 2010 was one of the greatest managers in football history. Those years at Chelsea and then at Inter Milan, where he won the Champions League, were special. He was ahead of everyone else tactically. His teams were incredibly hard to beat. His personality made his players believe they could achieve anything. But that was over 15 years ago. Football has changed. The players have changed. The way the game is played has changed. Does Mourinho still have the ability to adapt and find that level again? Some people believe yes. Joe Cole believes yes. Real Madrid seem to believe yes, but others are not so sure. And that doubt is why Chelsea are also looking at younger, fresher options like Xabi Alonso and Iraola. What would a third Mourinho spell actually look like? Let us imagine for a moment that it happens. Chelsea go to Mourinho, offer him full control, a long contract, and the keys to Stamford Bridge. He accepts. What would that look like? First of all, it would be a massive statement, like a really massive statement. The whole world would be talking about it. The media coverage would be extraordinary. Every press conference would be a headline. Every match would be appointment viewing. Mourinho always brings drama. Some of that drama is great. Some of it is exhausting, but it is never boring. In terms of football, if Chelsea give him real control over signings, he would likely want experienced, physical, mentally tough players. He has never been a manager who trusts young players easily. He likes players who can handle pressure and do exactly what he asks of them. He is very tactical and very disciplined in his approach. A Mourinho Chelsea would probably be well organised, hard to beat, and built on a solid defensive foundation. It would not always be the most exciting football to watch, but it would be competitive. And here is the thing. Sometimes Chelsea fans get frustrated by beautiful football that does not win trophies. Mourinho wins trophies. That has always been what he does best. The question is whether he can still do it at the very top level against the best clubs in the Premier League and Europe. The BlueCo problem. There is one more thing we need to talk about, and it is probably the biggest obstacle to Mourinho returning to Chelsea. The club is now owned by a group called BlueCo, led by Todd Boehly and Behdad Eghbali. Since they took over from Roman Abramovich, they have spent an extraordinary amount of money on players. Some of those signings have worked out, many have not. But more importantly for this conversation, the ownership has kept a very close eye on how the club is run. They have been involved in decisions that previous Chelsea ownerships would have left entirely to the manager. And remember what Joe Cole is asking for? He wants Mourinho to have full control. Control over transfers, control over recruitment, control over everything. That would require BlueCo to take a step back in a way they have not done since they took over the club. That would be a huge change in how the club operates. And honestly, based on what we have seen so far, it would be a very surprising move from them. So, even if Mourinho wants the job, and even if Chelsea want Mourinho, the question of control and how the club is run could be the thing that stops it from happening. Joe Cole is right that giving Mourinho full control is probably the best way to make it work. But whether BlueCo is willing to do that is a very different question. What do you think? I want to stop for a second and ask you directly, because this community is all about sharing opinions and having real conversations. Do you think Chelsea should bring Mourinho back? Think about what you have read. He is unbeaten at Benfica. Real Madrid want him. Joe Cole backs him. He has history and love for Chelsea. He wins trophies. But he has also had some painful moments at Chelsea. His last spell ended badly. He can be difficult. He demands full control. And the game has moved on since his best days. There is no right or wrong answer here. Some of you will be absolutely buzzing at the idea of Mourinho coming back. Others will be dead against it. And some of you will be sitting in the middle saying you would love it but are not sure it is the right move. Whatever your view, this is exactly the kind of debate that makes football brilliant. Will it actually happen? Okay, here is the honest assessment. Right now, in May 2026, a Mourinho return to Chelsea looks unlikely. The club are leaning towards Xabi Alonso, Iraola, or Xavi. Those managers are seen as more in line with the kind of modern progressive football that many people at BlueCo want to see. And then there is Real Madrid. Mourinho has already met with Florentino Perez. If Real Madrid offer him the job with the kind of control he wants, it is very hard to see him turning that down. Real Madrid is Real Madrid, but football has a way of surprising you. Things change quickly. A manager pulls out, a deal falls through, a phone call happens at the right moment. And if there is one thing Jose Mourinho has always been good at, it is making the impossible seem possible. Chelsea and Mourinho, it would be absolutely box office. It would be drama. It would be headlines. It would be passion. And if it worked, if he came back and actually delivered, it would be one of the greatest comeback stories in football. Final thoughts. So here is where we are. Chelsea need a new manager. Mourinho is available, linked, and being backed by Chelsea legends like Joe Cole. He is unbeaten at Benfica and is attracting interest from one of the biggest clubs in the world. But Real Madrid are ahead in the race. And Chelsea seem more likely to go in a different direction, possibly with Xabi Alonso leading the way. The dream of Mourinho's third coming at Chelsea is alive. It is not dead, but it is hanging by a thread. What happens next will depend on a lot of things. How quickly Chelsea make their decision, whether Real Madrid seal their deal first, whether BlueCo are willing to hand over the level of control that would make a Mourinho appointment actually work. This is one of those stories where you just have to keep watching. And in this community, that is exactly what we do. We watch, we talk, we debate, we support our club through the good moments and the difficult ones. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you a yes or a no on Mourinho? Would you take him back? What would you need to see before you got on board? Let us talk about it. That is what Lucy Chelsea Analysis is all about. Until next time, keep the blue flag flying.